This is Linda Favela, Hosea 8. There's more here about the approaching calamity and why Yahweh is sending it. Verse 1. Put the trumpet to your lips. Something like an eagle is over Yahweh's house, because they have broken my covenant and rebelled against my law. They cry to me, My God, we, Israel, acknowledge you. Israel has cast off that which is good. The enemy will pursue him. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I didn't approve. Of their silver and their gold they have made themselves idols, that they may be cut off. Let Samaria throw out his calf idol. My anger burns against them. How long will it be until they're capable of purity? For this is even from Israel. The workman made it, and it's no God. Indeed, the calf of Samaria shall be broken in pieces. For they sow the wind, and they will reap the whirlwind. He has no standing grain. The stalk will yield no head. If it does yield, strangers will swallow it up. Comment in verse 1, put the trumpet to your lips, meaning sound the alarm. Then, something like an eagle is over Yahweh's house. That's variously translated eagle or vulture, and Yahweh's house is the temple. So an eagle or vulture is circling the temple. It's an ominous sign. Something bad is on the way. In verse 2, Israel cries to God that they know him or acknowledge him, but in verse 3 they don't. They only think they know him, as evidenced by the fact that they've cast off that which is good. And the enemy will pursue Israel. They'll be defeated in battle. At the time it could have been interpreted as a metaphor, but it turned out to be literal. In verse 4, they have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I didn't approve, end quote. It's an eye-opening statement. In Daniel, God, quote, removes kings and sets up kings, chapter 2, verse 21. But here in Hosea, the people set up their kings, and not by God. In Isaiah 3, verse 4, God gives bad leaders as a form of judgment. Quote, I will give boys to be their princes, and children shall rule over them, end quote. So yes, God appoints the rulers, but he appoints them according to what the people deserve or what they want, or sometimes, hopefully, he'll have mercy on the people and appoint a leader better than they deserve. In verse 5, let Samaria throw out his calf idol. The first king of Israel built 2 golden calves. He set up one on the south end of the kingdom at Bethel, which God now calls Beth-aven, or house of wickedness, because of the idolatry. And the other calf the king set up on the northern end of the kingdom at Dan, 1 Kings 12:29. Therefore Yahweh says, let Samaria throw out his calf idol. In verse 6, for this is even from Israel. Israel should know better. How could Israel do this after all the instruction God has given them? Then in verse 7, the famous line, quote, for they sow the wind and they will reap the whirlwind, end quote. It means do the wrong thing and be destroyed. In verse 7, he has no standing grain. The stalk will yield no head. If it does yield, strangers will swallow it up, end quote. Taken literally, there will be crop failure, or foreigners will eat the crops. Taken figuratively, it's just another way of saying there will be complete disaster. As we've already said, within a generation of Hosea, the Assyrian Empire destroyed Israel and deported everyone. And the Old Testament documents that many of the small details Hosea predicted, which sounded like metaphors at the time, were literally fulfilled. Verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now they are among the nations like a worthless thing. For they have gone up to Assyria like a wild donkey wandering alone. Ephraim has hired lovers for himself. But although they sold themselves among the nations, I will now gather them, and they begin to waste away because of the oppression of the king of the mighty ones. Comment in verse 8, Israel's status among the nations has fallen. They're like a worthless thing. Either their status has already fallen and Yahweh's merely observing it, or he's prophesying their status will fall. In verse 9, Israel has gone up to Assyria like a wild donkey wandering alone. If a donkey has any sense, he'll stay home, knowing his master will take care of him. But Israel has strayed from Yahweh and gone to Assyria. This matches with King Menahem of Israel, depending on the king of Assyria to support him, 2 Kings 15:19-20. Menahem should have stayed home and looked to Yahweh, and Yahweh would have supported him. And in verse 9, Ephraim has hired lovers for himself. The hired lovers are foreign kings. King Menahem hired the king of Assyria, as we just said. And it also matches with King Hosea, not Hosea, but Hosea, who reached out to the Egyptians for support, 2 Kings 17:4. All the while, Yahweh would have supported them if they had turned to him. In verse 10, although they sold themselves among the nations, I will gather them, and they'll begin to waste away because of the oppression of the king of the mighty ones. The king of the mighty ones is the king of the Assyrian Empire. God will gather Israel for judgment. They'll begin to waste away because the Assyrian king will oppress them. This was fulfilled over a 21-year period when Assyrian kings Pul, Tiglath-Pileser, and Shalmaneser invaded Israel, imposed tribute, conquered in stages, and eventually destroyed Israel. 2 Kings 15:19 and 17:3. It started in 743 B.C. and was complete in 722. It's not certain how much of it Hosea lived to see. Verse 11. Because Ephraim has multiplied altars for sinning, they became for him altars for sinning. I wrote for him the many things of my law, but they were regarded as a strange thing. As for the sacrifices of my offerings, they sacrifice meat and eat it, but Yahweh doesn't accept them. Now he will remember their iniquity and punish their sins. They will return to Egypt. For Israel has forgotten his Maker and built palaces, and Judah has multiplied fortified cities, but I will send a fire on his cities, and it will devour its fortresses. Comment in verse 11, because Ephraim has multiplied altars for sinning, they've become for him altars of sinning. It sounds so repetitive we get the feeling something was lost in translation, but the NET Bible has a good take on it, quote, because Ephraim has built many altars for sin offerings, they have become altars of sinning, end quote. We don't understand that unless we're familiar with a little Old Testament law and history. Basically, there wasn't a single legitimate altar in all the northern kingdom. Yahweh said all sacrifices should occur in one place, Deuteronomy 12:5, and that place came to be the temple in Jerusalem, 2 Kings 21:7. Jerusalem was in Judah, not Israel, so there wasn't one legitimate altar in Israel. And secondly, many of Israel's altars were not even to Yahweh, so any sin offering in Israel was an act of sin. In verse 12, God wrote for Israel the many things of his law, but those things are to Israel a strange and unfamiliar thing. They're not familiar with Yahweh's law, the law of Moses. In verse 13, he doesn't accept Israel or their offerings. He'll remember their sins. They'll return to Egypt, but that doesn't mean Egypt exactly. It means there'll be slaves in a foreign land again like they were in Egypt. In verse 14, they've built palaces in Israel and fortified cities in Judah, but those fine places shouldn't give anyone a sense of pride or security because Yahweh will destroy their palaces and fortified cities.